Overnight in DY, grieving families, residents and politicians were at a community forum to talk about the future of Sydney's troubled Northern Beaches Hospital. Among those there was Eloise Massa, the mother of 2-year-old Joe, who tragically died at the hospital. There was also the New South Wales Treasurer, Daniel Mookhey, the Health Minister, Ryan Park, and the Shadow Health Minister, Kelly Sloan, were also there answering questions from the public. One of the organisers of the meeting was the independent MP for Pittwater, Jackie Scrooby, who joins us now. Morning, Jackie.
Morning, Craig.
So how big was the turnout?
Look, there were about 400 registered, probably about 350 turned up. So it was a big crowd. It nearly filled the room.
Yeah, wow. And what were the kind of questions that were being asked?
Look, the questions were what's going to happen with the hospital and in what time frame. And for me, it was the strongest commitment from the New South Wales government, from the Minister for Health in particular, stating that they'll do everything they can, I think was the words, to get the hospital back into public hands. And of course, they already have kicked off that process with the task force.
Yeah, okay. Everything we can. Now, we heard through the reports recently, through the auditors' reports, that in actual fact, HealthScope was trying to sell the hospital back to the government previously in the past, and at the time it was said no, that it was too expensive. Have they said that this is kind of no matter the money will go ahead, or do they say that the negotiation depends on the money?
Well, definitely money was discussed in the context of not giving HealthScope windfall profit under the deed. And interestingly, Kelly Sloan, who's the Shadow Health Minister, agreed with that sentiment as well and said she agreed with the Health Minister and Treasurer in that regard. And that is what the task force is looking at the moment. Definitely there has been a shift. The question about the 2023 offer or two offers from HealthScope for the New South Wales government to buy it back was brought up. And I think it was the Treasurer or Minister for Health, I think the Treasurer said that that was not a genuine offer, that didn't go into detail about that. But I think, part of the forum last night was really just putting a line in the sand because there have been multiple failings, multiple failures in accountability across the board from HealthScope, of course the previous government, current government, and put a line in the sand and just talk about future focus and how we're going to get the hospital back and more importantly, irrespective of ownership, how we're going to get better health services on the Northern Beaches.
So the sense was that it was a bipartisan approach going forward. That was the sense you got, or were there any differences between the two sides of politics?
Last night was really bipartisan, or shall I say multi-partisan, because we had independents hosting as well as the government and opposition. Long may that continue, but at the same time, we need accountability. So I'm sure the opposition, Michael and I, will hold the government to account as best we can and continue to represent our communities in that regard. But I think definitely, look, the other thing to acknowledge is that the situation as it's unfolded, which is happening quickly, is that HealthScope has not only offered for the government to buy the hospital back, but as of Monday, they've transferred control from Brookfield to their lenders. They have a $1.6 billion debt stack, and they are looking to sell all their 38 hospitals. So I think it's safe to say it's not a usual situation of how could a deed be remedied. It's very much we're in crisis point and the ownership of the hospital needs to be addressed.
So it's not just the ownership of Northern Beaches Hospital, all HealthScope things are up for sale potentially now. And now in terms of this, do you see the government taking back over the Northern Beaches Hospital as the end solution, or are there other problems with this hospital that need to be looked at, that need to be solved?
Well, I think we can all agree public-private partnerships when it comes to, acute healthcare don't work. And inherent in that is that conflict that there'll be profits over patients. And one of the things we've heard from doctors who work at the hospital, who have a group called the Medical Staff Council, is the chronic underfunding as a result of the deed, and that those issues need to be addressed. So once we've dealt with the ownership, there needs to be recognition that there needs to be further investment in order to bring the services up to what is expected to remedy the issues that we're seeing on the ground.
Now, Eloise Massa also asked to speak last night, the mother of 2-year-old Joe Massa, who died at the hospital. What was her message for the politicians?
Well, put politics aside and deliver better health services, and to do it now. I mean, whether it's the original parliamentary inquiry many years ago, whether it's the doctors who have been, calling out and saying they saw the writing on the wall with some of these errors, even when the hospital's set up, the recent audit report, we have all the information, we know what needs to be fixed, and just to get on with it and get it fixed. However, Eloise and Danny are incredibly reasonable and, and understand that a task force has been set up and that this is a complex process. But of course, their message is politics aside, and I don't want to speak for them, but it was clear, they just want better health outcomes. And without them, they are, and other families who have spoken to the media have definitely been the catalyst to bring this to where it needs to be now.
Yeah, they have been extraordinary advocates, and it's good to see there's a movement on the front. And it sounds like, so did the community leave happy with what they've been told?
Oh, look, I think number one, people felt that there was genuine engagement by the Treasurer and Health Minister, and that was evident not just turning up, it was in their responses as well. They said very, very clearly they have made the decision to try and right the wrongs of the past, and that their first, second and third priorities were better healthcare at Northern Beaches Hospital. So I think people understand and appreciate that. Where people probably felt, I want more answers, was around, what's the timeline? How are we going to, how's the transition going to happen? And some of those questions obviously, are being left to the task force and are complex. So there are definitely unanswered questions, but I think the community left feeling that there was, genuine engagement by the New South Wales government and they felt the pressure to deliver something for the Northern Beaches Hospital.
All right. Well, thank you for giving us the update, Jackie. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Craig.